Yup, let's get straight into reviewing Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This film was absolutely dope. I'm not gonna do the review in this mess because it is hot. So give me 1 second. Okay. Ooh, fresh new cut. Ladies, watch out. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Miles Morales is 2 for 2 right now. If we look, he's sitting at damn near almost 100% for both audience and critic. Over 95% of critics recommend that you go watch this film, and over 95% of audiences recommend that you go watch this film. Now, with his last movie, let's look at these scores real quick. For Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, we have a 97% critic score and we have a 93% audience score. This is really, really good. And just so that way I can show you guys, look at this. Miles Morales is freaking 2 for 2. And to be honest, he's probably in the running for the best Spider-Man trilogy. And it's an animated film. I will say that Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse is arguably better than a lot of live-action Spider-Man movies that we got. I will say that Across the Spider-Verse is better than No Way Home. That's a little bit of a hot take, but I feel like it is a valid point to make. We have to talk about the big thing in the room, and that is seeing Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man again. We saw Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man again. We didn't see him, obviously, the way that he appeared in No Way Home, where he was involved in Tom Holland's story. We saw him when Miguel O'Hara was kind of basically showing Miles, like I said before. In order for the Spider-Verse to stay intact, these stories had to play out like so. And it showed Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man looking at Captain Stacy, just like every other Spider-Man that had to deal with the death of Captain Stacy. Now, what I feel like personally, if and when Miles Morales goes live action, it has been confirmed that he will get a live action movie. Andrew Garfield is the best mentor for Miles Morales. I feel like this is what's going to happen. Spider-Gwen's going to die. Point blank, Spider-Gwen is going to die. What is going to happen from there is that Miles Morales is going to feel that loss, like this insane amount of guilt, because she's going to try saving him from Earth 42, because that's the Earth that he ended up being at, which was the wrong Earth, so he needed to go to Earth 1610. Probably most likely going to die saving him. He's going to end up getting transported to another Earth, and that's Andrew Garfield's Earth. Andrew's gonna see him and be like, yo, who are you? You're another Spider-Man, blah, blah, blah. They share their stories, and their stories end up being exactly similar in a way. Andrew Garfield, being Spider-Man for so long, is like, hey, man, I feel you. Look, let me take you under my wing. Let me, show you the ropes. I went through the same hurt. I think they'll be able to connect with each other on such a big level that they end up getting close because, hey, Andrew Garfield has said before, he's always wanted brothers. With that being said, it could work out perfectly. But enough of that. Let's get into my opinion on what I think about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, we left off on the Collider being destroyed. Miles Morales has sent all the other Spider-Man back to their respective universes. But somehow, some way, they are all back together, and we're wondering why. The Spot, who is villain that Spider-Man has to go up against, has these spots on his body that are basically black holes that they're kind of like portals. If you ever played the game Portal, that's the best representation of how spots work. And what he is doing is he is trying to get revenge on Miles Morales, because the spider, if you guys have watched the first one, had the number 42 on it. That's from Earth 42. The spider that had the number 42 on it ended up biting Miles Morales, and apparently that wasn't supposed to happen. Miles Morales ending up being the Spider-Man was a bit of a mistake, and Miguel O'Hara actually told him that, hey, technically speaking, you're not even supposed to be a Spider-Man, and you're kind of a mess up, and this wasn't really supposed to happen. Because what Miguel O'Hara was trying to do was basically tell him that, hey, in order for the Spider-Verse not to break, in order for stuff to stay aligned, certain things have to unfold, certain things have to happen. A lot of Spider-Man wouldn't be in the Spider-Verse if it wasn't for Uncle Ben dying. So if you prevent that from happening, that messes up their story, and it could actually mess up a whole lot of things. And are we wrong for Miguel O'Hara kind of doing what he is doing? No, not really, because we see that, you know, it could mess up a whole lot of things. I guess Miles being, you know, who he is, he didn't want his father to die, even though it was a part of his story in order for the Spider-Verse to kind of stay intact. He didn't want that to happen. He didn't want his father to die. So what he did was completely say, hey, Miguel, I don't care. I'm saving my father. You can't just allow this to happen. So I gotta slide. And then it leaves off on the biggest cliffhanger ever. But I am still so excited to see the third film. If I were to give this my rating, you know, from a scale from 1 to 10, I'm giving it a 9.8. Yeah, I'm giving it a 9.8. It was an incredibly good story. The animation is absolutely top tier. All the characters, you know, were utilized perfectly. Spider-Gwen's character development is absolutely insane in the best way, from, you know, Into the Spider-Verse all the way to Across the Spider-Verse. We get more of an emotional take on like her backstory and how she's dealing with everything being Spider-Man, well, Spider-Gwen in that universe, and, you know, her father being Captain Stacy. You know, the relationship between those two, him finding out and how he truly feels about the Spider-Gwen or the Spider-Woman before finding out that his daughter is the Spider-Woman. And seeing the relationship between those two was incredible to see. We got to see Peter B. Parker. Seeing him again was absolutely amazing. He still, you know, is a funny guy. And we got to see multiple other Spider-Men that we have been just dying to see, you know, that we haven't seen. The Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly, Hobie Brown. You see him as well. 2099 Spider-Man, you know, I remember playing him as a character on Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Oh man, that was absolutely amazing. Seeing all these different Spider-Man in this universe, I kind of thought that they were going to overwhelm us so much with like everything Spider-Man, but it didn't actually. You know, it still ended up being a Miles Morales movie, obviously with more information behind the Spider-Verse, because it's called Across the Spider-Verse, and, you know, the previous film was called Into the Spider-Verse. They still managed to keep the story about Miles Morales, and what this is kind of doing, and I'm pretty sure everybody that's a Marvel comic book fan and just a Marvel fan in general, Spider-Man fan actually, this is leading up to Miles's Earth getting destroyed. We all know that Earth 1610 ends up being destroyed and Miles Morales ends up getting transported to Earth 616, which apparently isn't the MCU. It's probably, everyone's been saying it's Earth 19999, or some people have been saying it's Earth 616. Spider-Man Far From Home, Mysterio said Earth 616. In Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, they were saying 616, and then apparently it's Earth 19999. I'm still so confused. Somebody help me out in the comments on what Earth the MCU is. But aside from that, I feel like this is the route that they are going on, explaining how Miles' story is going to go throughout, because the next film that's coming out is called Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. What else is beyond the Spider-Verse is the next big question. There is no post-credit scene. You know, I stayed all the way to the end, all the way until the credits completely rolled out, and there's no end credit scene. That's the part that sucks, and I feel like they're doing that for a reason. You know, there is a reason behind that. But enough of that. You know, I've been rambling on. There's so much more I could talk about, but if you guys want to see more content on me talking about Across the Spider-Verse for ever and ever and ever, check out on our YouTube shorts. We have podcasts, we have our little 60-second podcast segments, and then we have the full-length videos. Links down in the description for those. Thank you guys for watching so much. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, leave a like because it helps out so much. Leave a comment down below on your honest thoughts of what you thought about Across the Spider-Verse. I think it's better than No Way Home. Do you agree or do you disagree? Where do you rank it on your list?